Welcome back to the channel, friends. Today we're going to be looking at the UAFX Lion pedal. This pedal is fantastic and I'm using it as a pedal platform for live shows as well as recording. It gives me the feel of a 100 watt Marshall 68 bass amp as well as some other things. So stay tuned and sit back and we're going to go through it. We're going to look at the sounds, how I use it, how I could use it, and some advice for people that might be interested in buying one of these. So it's kind of got that functionality. What I like about the UAFX stuff is you've got ways that you can control it on your phone, and if you register the device, it unlocks a few other functions. And one of my favourite channels on here is actually which I'll demo in a minute. One from the artist presets, which is from James, who actually sort of runs James Santiago one from the UAFX. Other features are it has a boost built in, so you can boost your signal. I think it's based on the Echo Plex again, which is great. It has 6 cabs, which is enough cabs. The cab sims are pretty cool. There's a room again to get that environment within, and it's what I like about UAFX is that adjustable impulse response thing where you can make the room feel bigger or smaller, and it's very essential in terms of getting the sound. The room function as well, if you're using an Frfr or a PA monitor speaker to bring out some of that tone and to kind of use it live, that's really cool. Has a big effect on how you want that to be. And when you're recording in tracks, you can actually, I kind of find myself not mixing the guitar sound very much, just putting it in, listening to it, get a nice sound to begin with, and that's it. I tend to not mix anything post sort of that sound because it's just so good. But the cabs are great, and they do have a massive impact really on what you're doing. So this is how I use it, already kind of set up here for gigs. Now the knobs on this setting, it's a preset, so the knobs won't actually correlate with what it's doing. That is just my clean. This rings really nice. Just going to put my compressor on. So normally I use a little bit of a compressor. Now the reverb actually comes from this preset, and I can adjust it a little bit. So if I set this to alternate, this is the room size and the reverb size. That's pretty dry there. That's it on full. So I would actually not have a lot. But that is a wonderful clean sound, loads of top end. It's quite quite juicy. And Marshall, back in the sort of 90s, 80s and 90s, we didn't really regard Marshall as a great clean sound. But they do make a great clean sound. I think what happened was the JCM 900 was the main sort of thing, and the JCM 2000 DSL amps were out, and they have a great kind of breakup gain sound, but they didn't tend to have that lovely warm high headroom clean sound like this does, and like the older ones. So I had a 70s amp just post Plexi, and that had a great clean sound. I used to just use that and stick pedals in front of it, and that's kind of what I do normally with this kind of sound. So I've got on my board, I've got 2 gain pedals, right? I've got the Protein that I really like to use, and I've got here a bog standard kind of tube screamer. So let me just show you. This is the blue side of the Protein, which is a blues breaker. That's it off, that's it on. Now notice how much high headroom there is still. How much clarity there is. There's so much clarity with that. If I want to make it sound a bit boxier, put the tube screamer on. Sounds pretty cool. Okay, so if I do the same thing now with the Noble side, this is more kind of high gain. And then if I introduce fuzz, so I've got like a big muff. It's very cool. Some other things that I like to use with this kind of sound. Something like a nice Univibe. It's cool. So let me just turn this pedal off. Yeah, the Lion is a wicked pedal platform if you use it clean. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how the difference that the cabs can make. So This is using the G25 cabs. Bit more punch on this one. Cabs off. It's with a bit of gain. You can really tell the cabs differently when there's a bit of gain, I think. There we go. It sounds, they call it speaker cry. Listen to how much darker that one is. If I wanted to do that, the Clapton thing, that's kind of the way I'd go. That one sounds very much so like that. That's definitely got that Allman Brothers vibe. So that's kind of like in a preset. We're going to have a look at some different channels now. So I'm going to just put it onto... Wow, spicy. Just going to use it like an amp and show you how that kind of works in amp mode. So output is your output. You don't normally get this on a Plexi amp, do you? Different outputs. It's basically like a master volume. And then these are the volumes from the two different channels, and they're kind of jumped together. So we've got no signal. That's the sound of one channel. Bear in mind, I'm on the bass model. It's just using volume 1, volume 2. This one stays cleaner a lot longer. There we go. That sounds less trebly than the other one. So I think one's like a high treble, one's a high, a normal. And then when you put them both up together, that's where you start to get that thickness. I mean, that's maxed out. Let's try it with a different cab. that makes such a big difference, doesn't it, when you mess with the cab. So I've gone from a G, I think we're on the green channel, so GB, so let's say greenback 25 to greenback. What's this? Okay. That sounds nice. Scoopy. I like the GB 25s. Now I've turned the room up to sort of half. Just by having that room up, it sounds like a different place, doesn't it? Let's have the room on full. There's not reverb as we see it, but reverb technically is an emulation of a larger space than you're in. Oh, that sounds killer. I do have my own reverb pedal that I tend to use on my board. Oh, crikey. Oh. God, that's set high. There we go. Alright, so that's a Marshall working hard. If I use the boost on that as well, just sticks a little bit of a boost in front and you instantly rock and roll. And I've got a friend who uses one of these as his main gigging rig. He's literally got this. Last time I saw him on a wild bar pedal, he had one of those Boss overdrives, you know, the yellow one. One of those, and he had this, and then he used the boost, and it was as simple as that. And you can control the boost as well, so you can have like that's with the boost at half. You can max out the boost. I mean, I've got maxed out channels, quite a bit of boost. Listen to that. Great. Now it feels like it should, and I did a demo of this just going into a PA speaker. Here's a little clip of how it works with a PA speaker. Lion. So this is a speaker. Okay, it's nothing special. It's just a PA speaker. So people take flat frequency responses, FRFRs they're called. I'm really sorry to say, it's just a PA speaker. You're just buying PA speakers, youth. Sorry, mate. I'm going to mic it up. That's weird. That feels and looks weird. It's a PA speaker going into the UAFX Lion. Right, so I've got a really cool little, I've got a nice little setting here. I'll turn the volumes up. I'm running, I mean it's a bit hummy in here because of the way the lights are, which sucks, but you know, it's the way the kitchen is. I didn't build it. This is basically using a modeler like a UAFX Lion. So that's what I'm rocking here. I've got a UAFX Lion, I've got my microphone going just so I can capture it. The microphone's in front of a little PA speaker, 8-inch PA speaker
weighs half the amount of all these amps. So I mean, going from weights, you know, you've got your katana that's pretty light, you know, 10 kilos ish. Then you've got your Vox, which is about 15-17 kilos, and you've got this thing. I even want to say how heavy it is, but it's very heavy. I also have a Toemaster version. I recommend the Toemaster, to be fair. It's just great. I'm gonna. This is like for people. This is for people who've been doing it that long. We do a lot of gigs day in, day out. We're sick of carrying everything. You're more likely to get mugged on the way home. Take my PA speaker, don't take my amp, you know. Same with my pedals. I can just take this. I can fly with my little UAFX thing and it'll sound cool. This is the bass. It's based on 68 bass. That's like kind of the amp I'm using right now. That's still really loud. There we go. Turned it down quite a bit because it's just proper loud. Alright, if I do something here, I'm going to just go manual with this amp. So this sounds like one of those greenback 4x12s. And if I put this into That's what I'm using to gig with at the moment. I've turned my volume off and it's gone silent because it's just coming out of a rig and I've got a PA speaker. Turn it up. The clean tone is that good, and it's got that much headroom. I can plug pedals in. It makes a great pedal platform. So if I start, it's a bit too much reverb. Hold on. Crank that. If you select amp, you can do your normal EQ section. So when I had something like this, I'd set up my sound to be quite clean. Now I used to play pubs with it, and I would turn, it was a 50 watt version, I'd turn up to probably 3 in a pub, no amp, no microphones on the amps, Les Paul. What did I use? The Les Paul into a wah-wah, a tube screamer, an EQ pedal for my boosts, because I thought I was the only one who thought of that, but obviously not. This was back in the early 2000s. And yeah, I could never get the treble to sound good on my Marshall. I used to turn the treble off completely. On this, you can clip the bright cap in the app. So the app's really good. You can sort of go in, I'll show you now. You can go in, you can choose sort of how you want that to work. You can also have it work in a 4 cable method kind of. You can set it up to kind of respond correctly for that. Turn the bright cap on, bright cap off. Ghost notes, I will talk about that in a second, but the ghost note thing, ghost notes are when you use different channels. So at the moment I'm still on this bass amp. Let me go to the lead amp. It might be on the lead amp. Let's get it hairy. So on the lead channel there is a lot more sort of treble breakup. If I add the boost, yeah, I can hear that. There's like an extra note. I'm going to brown. There's a bit of a thickness there. I can hear it. There's quite a lot going on in that tone.
of thickness. There's a lot of difference there as well in terms of like the way the amp feels. It feels quite compressed there with the same setting. That's the lead. It sounds a bit more old school. And that's the bass. Really old school, but really a lot more clarity and everything. What I love about having the two channels is that basically I can balance those two out in the same way that when I've got a guitar like this, I can balance my treble and my rhythm pickups. To get this kind of tone that I want. So there it is. That's it as a pedal platform. That's using the boost and the presets. It is very intuitive to use, and that's what I really like about it. So the pros are it's super intuitive. You can the form factor is another pro. So you can pick it up, you can just shove it in your case, take it anywhere. Stick it into a PA, sounds great. It's got such high headroom that in comparison to other things, so quite often I gig with a Fender Deluxe Reverb. That's my kind of go-to amp. It's different to this. The Marshall, when I use it in kind of this setting here, I'm going to play something funky, right? That sounds alright, funky. Okay. And then when I go into gain, doesn't quite elevate to catch up, if that makes sense. So I essentially have to change the gain structure of all my analog pedals to match the sound and the feel of that I get when I use my Fender stuff, and I'm really sort of overdriving it. And that's a consequence of the way these amps are in real life. You know, it's not that you have to drive them more, you have to keep up with them because they've got so much space in them, they're so big sounding that if you're going to start sticking pedals in front of them, you need them to be set to be big. So that's my nice clean sound. So I just have to add that extra bit of volume to the big muff. It's really cool though. Another cool thing is using it with single coils. So if I'm using like this, if I use a Telecaster, really brings out that nice high end that's in there. They're quite a high fidelity amp in my opinion. So there we go. Pros, form factor, all day long, beautiful pieces of equipment. Another pro would be the way that it operates and works, and the sort of interface is really easy. Another pro, the convenience of it. Cons. Okay, so when you start it up, it takes a few minutes, like a minute, for it to work out what it is. It has to boot up. It's like, oh yes, am I like a pencil sharpener, or am I Lego, or am I a fan? No, I'm a UAFX Lion, and then it sort of all kicks into shape and starts working. So that's the thing. The new King Tone Imperial has something cool on it that everybody kind of is loving, and that is a function on there that essentially attenuates the amplifier. So for me, if I could attenuate this a little bit, instead of it being, and don't get me wrong, that 100 watt Marshall feel is like irreplaceable. Like you can't change that feel. There's something about a big amp, but I think some attenuation on it would be cool, so you could have it feel like a smaller version of it. And I think if I did that, because if you think about it right, all my amps, I use evokes. I'm using a Vox 15 watt night train. I'm using a deluxe reverb. I'm using a Towmaster deluxe reverb. In my amp collection at the moment, I'm kind of rocking those. They're all, in comparison, lower wattage things. So if I could attenuate this a little bit, when I'm out doing gigs, I could just go from recording it using it in the studio at 100 watts, getting that lovely big sound, and I could just plug it into my existing rig, and I could just attenuate it down a little bit to achieve that kind of matched kind of gain structure, which would then be better for going out and just running it with other stuff. So I think if I was using this and the Lion, the Lion and the Woodrow on the same board and sort of switching between each one, that's where I'd kind of have a bit of trouble, and I think it would be quite cool to perhaps go and gig like that. So I've got two amps and they kind of go out into one signal, so I can kind of use it like channel switching. So yeah, that hugeness of it is great, but it also comes at a cost. Price, it's a good price. You can also get something called Jim's 45 by TC Electronics. I had one of those last year and I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. Comparing it to that, I loved the interface of that in the same way. This has 3 amps on it, and that's what's really cool. If I'm being honest, I only really use the bass amp on this, the bass amp version, and the cab sims and all the different cabs on this are just fantastic, because they're really good at shaping the tone. Whereas on the Jim's 45 you couldn't do that, it just had one cab, and they did a firmware update that improved the cab sound, and it was a good cab sound, don't get me wrong, but the cab is such a big part of the sound. It would be good to have some, if you was doing the Jim's 45 thing, I think they would probably be a bit of a match for this if they could offer that. The other cool thing about the Jim's 45, it's based on a 100 watt version of the JTM 45. JTM 45 is one of my favourite sounding amps ever in the world, volume 3. It'd be good if there was one of those on here, and that would probably be my solution to the attenuation thing. I could have a 30 watt version, of the JTM 45 in there. Probably for me, instead of the brown sound, just because I'm not trying to sound like Van Halen, and I love Van Halen. I'm just not trying to sound like him. Probably because I just feel like that music is just a bit sacred. I just think it's so good. It's so good. That's my little rundown of the Lion. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we're doing a giveaway of a pedal to a subscriber, and see you next time.